Very good afternoon, Mr. Garry, and welcome to India Association
Hi,
Congress.
good afternoon, you too.
It's a pleasure for us to have you with us here and to get this opportunity to be able to talk to you over certain question answer rounds wherein we can understand what you understand of this Congress we are holding and a little bit about your association also. So if I may start asking you this, sir, your association, IWTMC, TME, how would you feel where is it going forward? If you can talk a little bit about that, please.
Okay, let me go back a little more. I came to this industry by default. I've actually worked and earned my living for my family, for the security of my family, with industries that were most polluting. I worked for Tata Steel, which was polluting. I worked for glass fiber, which was a chemical industry, which was polluting. I worked for one of the worst polluting industry of CIAT tires. Yes, tires we love, but the kind of carbon we emit was so fantastic.
Right.
And there came a time in my life, and my wife and I moved to Chennai. And I was looking for a job because I didn't have a job. So the choice was either to go to London and take up a new assignment, or take up an assignment in Chennai into wind industry. For wind industry, you're going to be a pure finance guy who knew financial economics,
Right.
or you had to be an engineer who understood power engineering. I'm neither. I would call myself one of those unpads. I never been an engineer. I never wanted to become an engineer.
Right.
But then by default, I got into it. And I spent almost about 17 years as a chief executive of a Danish company into wind energy.
Okay.
And as we talked this morning, one of the thought process that I had was literally a time had come when I had settled my thoughts to say, God, here is an opportunity where I am washing my sins and I'm doing something for the society.
Okay.
And this is a little preface, I would say, to what I do. And if I may say so now, what I'm doing now is not a job. What I'm doing now is like an apostle, a preacher,
Right.
going about preaching from, not from a mountain, but from anywhere, to talk about wind energy and the requirement of wind energy. Not that it gives me my bread. I have very few thoughts to give before we get into what the association is.
Right.
Power is something that's required to run the industry, to take care of the domestic requirement, and power requirements are growing day after day.
Agreed.
What was a luxury
Yes.
is today a want. You
Yes.
can't see a house without air conditioning.
Absolute necessity, yes.
And while power is so important, and when you get onto the road, one of the first things you do is to clutch your handkerchief to your nose because of the pollution.
Absolutely.
Now, wind energy answers both of them.
Okay.
It produces power, which is fed into the grid. Number two, it's non-polluting
Right.
because you are producing power from nature of wind.
Right.
There is no pollution to it.
Right.
As we call ourselves, we are perhaps the only industry in the power industry in the world or the universe. We are a zero fuel, zero water industry. As you know, they say that maybe 50, 100 years from now, nations are going to fight over water. Water is going to be a scarce commodity.
Right.
Power is a scarce commodity, but water is going to be a far more scarce commodity.
Right.
We do not require an ounce of water for producing power. I'm not trying to compare between the renewables. You may ask, what about solar? Solar is sun-driven. It produces power. In what way are you different from solar? The point with solar is, while it produces water, power, and it is so fantastic,
Right.
but every 3 months, it requires to be cleaned.
Okay.
You have to clean the panels with distilled water, not with
So
ordinary
you
water.
need water there.
You require water.
Yes.
Whereas we require no water. The blades that might get a little bit of dirt due to various external
Wear and
conditions,
tear, yeah.
not wear and tear, external conditions.
Okay.
They're very robust.
Okay.
Just one monsoon rain would just wash the blades, and the
Okay.
blades are ready again.
Okay.
And the most beautiful thing about the engineering of turbines is it is like an aircraft.
Okay.
You can have an aircraft which is about 100 years old, and you can put in brand new engines, and you can fly them. The body of the aircraft would remain the same always, and it is a timeless zone. In the same way, though the turbines are listed for a 20 years of their life period,
Right.
today we have turbines in India which are more than 25 years. You have turbines in Europe which are more
Yes.
than 40 years old.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about turbines is that they work in the rural areas. You don't have a turbine in Jaipur or in Delhi or in Kolkata. You have them all in the rural areas.
Right.
And these are so beautifully designed by engineering and by technology that they don't require any human hand interference.
So it is low maintenance, if I may gather.
Well, it is considered a low maintenance,
Yeah.
and if you take cost of power generation between thermal, hydro, and renewable energy, and
Right.
more so wind.
Right.
If you take 20 years of levelized cost of production, wind is the cheapest.
Of course.
Now, having said this, now let's come to a little bit on the association.
Yes.
Our association platform is, yes, there is no doubt the association has its members who are manufacturers and
Right.
manufacturers of components,
Right.
and we are not here for charity. We are a commercial organization,
course.
and we are here to propagate wind energy.
Right.
But the principle behind wind energy generation is like water, which is going to become scarce, oil, coal, and gas. As per estimates of the experts or whoever has done some surveys, is between 50 to 100 to 150 years. 150 years from now, we are
Right.
not going to have either oil, coal, or gas. Then what? Are we saying that wind energy can solve the country's or the world's power problem? No. It is what we call an energy mix to achieve energy security.
Okay.
Wind can never replace coal, oil, or gas,
Right.
but it complements so that you slow down the effects of the polluting power, leaving alone hydro because there is no pollution to it.
Pollution concern
But the
there.
point is that if it can complement, you can allow the fossil fuels to be used lesser
Right.
and for larger use of renewables. If
Right.
this is the platform on which we are working.
So it's a win-win
And
situation.
there are issues in nuclear power. Anybody
Yes.
might ask, what about nuclear power? There are different schools of thoughts on nuclear power. And I can only quote the German Chancellor. I was in Frankfurt and she made the statement, by 2030,
Right.
she would disbandon all the nuclear power stations and replace them with wind power or renewable power.
Right.
It's not to say that nuclear power is dangerous, but if one were to see the catastrophe of Chernobyl
Right.
and Fukushima, well, can we live without nuclear? I think that's what we need to look at. Okay, coming back to the association.
Yes.
The association is an association of members of the manufacturing community
Right.
and the component manufacturers community, because we own the technology. We don't make all the products that go in. There's
Right.
about 4,000 subcomponents or sub-assemblies that go in. So we don't manufacture all of them. So we have to procure them from outside.
Right.
So what we are looking at is a large supply chain hub that will integrate. So we are about 20 odd manufacturers and about 10 odd component manufacturers
Right.
placed all over the country. We have 8 states which are windy. And when we say we are manufacturers, it is not that we manufacture the turbine and we sell the turbine. No. The guy who is buying the turbine or the guy who is going for a wind turbine business knows nothing about wind turbines.
Right.
So we select the land for him, we in resource, we see the connectivity, we do all the civil, electrical, all the contracts, we install the turbine, connect it to the grid, get his paperwork done, and maintain the turbine for 20 years. So it's what we call, we are really not just manufacturers, it's a misnomer. We are actually an agent of the buyer from concept to commissioning. We are total.
So it's end-to-end solution.
It's an end-to-end solution.
Wonderful.
Providers. This is where we are.
Right.
And if you take the positive of wind turbine, as I said, wind turbines don't work in capital cities, but they work in the rural areas.
Right.
Two beautiful things that come out of wind is one, that all the wind is in the rural areas. So when you set up a project, it gives them rural employment and boosts the rural economy. Number two, because of the high winds, all the topsoil gets washed away, so they are not good for agriculture.
Right.
A simple example, when I joined the industry 17 years or 18 years back, an acre of land was being sold at 3,000 rupees an acre because they are semi-arid.
Right.
Today, average cost of a good wind land, which determines the productivity of the turbine,
Right.
is between 20 lakhs to 30 lakhs an acre. So we have
Substantial increase.
literally put money in the pockets of people who are the have-nots. I have seen people going on rusted cycles and bare feet. Today you have people traveling in Scorpios and Boleros. You have schools, colleges, you have hospitals, hotels,
Absolutely.
eateries, what have you. So wind is just not wind power.
Yes.
I think it has done what the government should be doing to the rural mass. And I'm happy to inform you, Raina, that wind turbine industry is now classified by Ministry of Economic Affairs
I see.
as
Okay.
one of the areas of CSR. You know, every industry today has got to spend 2% of their profits
Right.
towards corporate social responsibility. If you are involved in wind, and if you have put up wind turbines, the money you have spent is considered as CSR.
Well, that will be to your advantage.
Absolutely. So
Right.
it's really that it is just not power generation alone. I think it's doing fantastic to the rural people.
Right.
And I'm happy to say that the sons of the soil who are passed out from their village schools or IITs, ITIs or diploma courses or whatever, they are staying there. They're working on the turbines.
Yes.
Their parents who may be unskilled are working as daily labor when the construction is being made. So that it's like, I call wind energy like Tirupati or like Shirdi. Wind energy in a wind zone determines the economy of the place. So we are really changing the social fabric of an unknown hamlet, and we are bringing smile on the faces of people.
Wonderful. That's very, very informative. That's very, very promising. We would also like to know, Mr. Garry, from you, what do you feel is the future of associations, and where is the next, where is it going in India, per se?
I wish I could give you a diplomatic answer, but unfortunately I don't know how to do it. I would admit that. The problem with most of the associations in India
Yes.
are, why are associations born? Associations are born when you have a spot problem.
Right.
And I have seen them enough. You have enough issues, and then you have a tax issue, you have a excise issue, you have a allotment issue, you have a license issue. 10 big boys join together and say, hey, we need to do something about this, so let's form an association. So you go to the register of societies and you form an association. Somebody becomes president, somebody becomes vice president, and they start in a small way.
Right.
And then as it gathers momentum, very unfortunately, as you people who run the association congress, I'm sorry if I'm going to be differing with you to some extent, or to a large extent, that I believe an association is an area where you first give, you share,
Yes.
and then there is a takeaway. But then as time passes, you find babudom and bureaucracy steps into the association.
Raises their head.
Raises
Okay.
their head. If they raise their head, then the whole thing would collapse. As far as IWTMA is concerned, I'm happy that that we have limited members,
Right.
and we have, of course, as per the requirement of the Association of Register of Societies, you have the chairman, the vice chairman, and so on. But then they have left the running of the association on a day-to-day basis with a professional. Well, it can be me today, it can be somebody tomorrow.
That makes a
But
lot of sense, actually.
they have given the pass to the Secretary General of the association to say, my friend,
Yes.
where do you want us to go from now?
Yes.
And what's our roadmap for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years?
Right.
I think this is what we need to do.
It's a mapping.
And I think if you do that, and I would say that the one association has got to give birth at least to 5 or 6 more associations, either as independent association to keep their sovereignty, or to join together as an alliance. We are now trying to bring in the manufacturers, the component manufacturers, the independent power producers, the developers,
Right.
researchers, wind resource guys, technologists, all under one roof to say that if you have a UPA government, if you have a National Democratic Alliance, why can't we have an Indian Wind Energy Alliance so that all of us are together?
Makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot
actually.
of sense.
Yes.
And I'm also happy to say that the wind industry, not only in India, world over, we have something called the Global Wind Energy Council, which has members of almost about 40, 50 countries.
Okay.
Europe, you have the European Wind Energy Association. In America, you have the American Wind Energy Association. In India, we have IWTMA. And then we have the Wind Power Producers Association.
Right.
If all of us can come under one roof to say, if Earth is our planet and we are concerned with climate change and global warming, which is going to affect our future
Eventually.
eventually, as our secretary, the previous secretary of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And incidentally, Raina, I'm happy to say that Government of India, or perhaps in the world, India is the only country which has a dedicated ministry towards new and renewable energy.
Yes.
And then, like Tata Steel, where they say, we do so many things. We look after the community, we lay roads, we do so many things. And the final tagline is, we also produce steel. In the same way, the secretary said, Mr. Garry, every project of yours is a CSR activity. And you can also say, we also produce power from thin air. And I think this is where we are. So I have nothing against the associations, but I think association, it's like putting the fist together. If we have one association, and if we can have complementary of associations, and what's happening today in my take of attending the association congress today is to get so many associations with varied perspectives,
Interests and
varied
objectives.
interests, various disciplines. And then when you say wind, I can see a sparkle to say, my God, you are with the future. You know, it's highly rewarding that you are in an association where you mean something to the people. If you are able to...
And to the world.
And to the world. So if you are able to make a change in the way the people think, the way people look at wind energy, the way people look at... I would say if there is a change in thinking, and if I am able to get a person to understand what we are doing, and if I can learn from him what he expects me from there on, I would think putting associations together has got to be a seamless operation where there is no hierarchy and everybody is respected. I'm sure
And opinions are respected as well.
opinions
all
are
of them.
respected.
Yes.
And I would say if the associations do a great job, I see no reasons why we can't have an association of the world and call it the association of the world instead of calling it the United Nations. I think we will be doing a good job.
Very nice. It's a pleasure to having you here. How is your experience with our India Association Congress? And would you feel how will it add value to you?
I, as I
How
said,
has your experience been so
perhaps
far?
this is when Anita and Mukul talked to me in
Yes.
Bangalore.
Yes.
I was very, very wary.
Okay.
I was looking at CIMGlobal as an event management or a conference planning company, because we are planning a wind energy conference next year. And incidentally, just coincidentally, Anita said, "Mr. Giri, we have this Indian Association Congress in Jaipur."
Right.
And believe me, I came to say, "Hey, thanks Anita, I have come because you asked me to come." But I must say, in the last 3 hours, I came down at 10 o'clock to the hall,
Right.
and meeting people, and which I hope to enjoy meeting people today and tomorrow. The initiative of the Association Congress.
Yes.
I do not know where IWTMA will take on this. I'm not so sure.
Right.
I will have to think. I'm sure we come back to you again. But I think the learning to hear people, to learn, to experience, and to share, and what a congregation of associations can do as an association congress can do. Whoever found it, I don't know. But I think it's the beautiful step in the beautiful direction, and I'm happy that CIMGlobal has been doing it in the last 3
This
years.
is the fourth one, yes.
Fourth one.
Yes.
And I'm sure I'm going to come back, and I hope I'm invited.
A pleasure will be definitely ours. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Giri.
you, Raina. Thank you very much.
I hope you
Thank
have a lovely day
Thank you.
tomorrow
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.